What is the best thing that has ever happened to you because of curiosity? I went to Gen Con in 2000. It was the last day of the convention, and I decided to walk around the exhibition hall one last time, just to see if I had missed any interesting games during the week. As I'm walking, I see this old man sitting behind a table, and he had a small crowd gathered around him. Initially, I didn't think much of it. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I happened to see his con badge. It was Gary Gygax. I love D&D. Fucking love this game. I needed to say thank you. So I got in line. Mind you, this was when 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons had just been released. So everyone was getting their player's handbook signed by him. The gentleman in front of me had his book covered with signatures. The entire inside of the cover was filled. So when it came time for Mr. Gygax to sign, there was very little room. Somehow he managed to squeeze in, "It's still my damn game, Gary Gygax." I was mortified. I couldn't ask him to do the same thing. Fortunately, I had a 1st edition player's handbook in my bag. I decided to have him sign that instead. Now, before I continue, I should give you some background on this particular book. My mother used to play D&D with her younger sister's group. They would always give my mom the weakest character and kill her immediately. Not because they didn't like her, but because they wanted my mom to make them pizza. To be fair, my mom makes awesome pizza. She bought the book in hopes that they would take her more seriously. They didn't, so the book sat on the shelf for about 20 years. It was in pristine condition when she gave it to me. Back to Gen Con, I'm holding the book in my hands and I'm fucking trembling. It's my turn and all I can manage to say is, "Thanks for the making the gam, can use in me book please?" "Fuck." Gygax says sure, and I hand him the book. When he opens it, the binding cracks. Not crack as it falls apart, but the crack of a brand new book. The corners are still sharp, the pages are crisp, and there is not a single annotation in the entire thing. Not even a name in the front cover. So there I am, 15 years old, standing in front of one of my idols, and he looks at me and says, "This is in really nice condition. Did you get this here?" I replied, "Oh no sir. It was my mom's when she played." I have never seen someone smile like that before or since. I really wish I had had a camera. You could see the joy in his face as he flipped through the pages. I can't imagine what it must feel like to see that your creation has become an heirloom in someone else's family. When he was finished smiling and laughing to himself, he signed my book. It read, "Dear Joe, happy adventures. Gary Gygax." I pressed a button on a soda machine without putting any money in, and I got a free Minute Maid grape soda. Best grape soda I ever had. I was probably around 7 at the time. This has not happened again. If I find myself with an accumulation of change, sometimes I prepay a soda machine and walk away. It's the little things. I was studying at school at a table right near a soda machine. Nobody else was near the machine and I had been there for a while. Suddenly, the machine makes a clanking noise and it dispensed a ghostly root beer. Best haunted soda I have ever drank. I was on a first date with a woman who volunteered at a large zoo. We met through friends and at the time I lived 2 hours away from her, so I agreed to travel to her if she had a good idea for a first date. She decided a day at the zoo would be great, and was able to take me behind the scenes of everything. I asked, "So how much do you feed the polar bears?" out of random curiosity. She told me the answer and then threw in, "They also get marshmallows if they're good." I was surprised about this fact, because I've never heard of it. So she took me behind the polar bear habitat with one of the zookeepers. It had just happened to be near feeding time. The zookeeper got a big bucket of fish and fed it to the bears. The only thing separating my date and I from the polar bears were 5 heavy vertical bars. After the fish were gone, the zookeeper took a bag of marshmallows from his pockets and tapped the bars with a large metal pole. I assumed this meant marshmallow time, because a polar bear looked up like, "Holy shit, it's marshmallow time," and ran over to the bars. He stuck a marshmallow on the pole, about 4 to 5 feet long, got it soaked in some delicious fish juices from the bucket, and fed it to him. Then he let me do it. This was the closest I've ever been to any kind of bear, and let me tell you, polar bears are freaking huge. I got him to stand up for the marshmallow. Seeing him so close was just amazing. Best first date I've ever been on. I promptly married that girl. My first plane ride. My sister and I were walking by the little municipal airport near my grandma's house, and a hippie-looking guy saw us looking at the planes and offered to take us up for a ride in his plane. Of course, this all could have gone horribly wrong, but it didn't. He had a little crop dusterish plane, and we went up for about 20 minutes, flying over our little town, the river, etc. It was awesome. Then we landed, and my sister and I went back to Grandma's house. And not one person believed us. Probably a good thing. For me, it happened when I was 12. My father took me to SeaWorld during my fall break, along with the Disney parks. While we were visiting SeaWorld, we were at the penguin exhibit watching the various species swim around and waddle on the ice. I noticed a man in uniform carrying a bucket, so I walked over and asked him if he was going to feed the penguins. The man replied that he indeed was going to feed them, to which I only responded with, "Well, what do penguins eat?" Then man asked where my parents were, so I took him to my dad. He then invited my father and I back into the penguins area, and I literally got to play with penguins for about 30 minutes. It's something that is going to stick with me forever. I sold memberships at a really fancy gym in LA. Our clients were either super rich or celebrities. I didn't care though. It was Sunday night and there were 5 minutes left in my shift, and I just wanted to get the hell out of there that night. Of course, one guy walks in for a tour. I walk him around, go through my spiel. He mentioned he had a recording studio down the street. These people are a dime a dozen and I just want to go home, so I don't really give a shit. And we get back to my office where I'm hoping he'll say he wants to think about it, and I won't have to enter all his shit in the computer and walk him through all the paperwork. Anyways, that doesn't happen, and he wants to join. There is no avoiding staying another half hour now, so I lighten up. As we're working through the paperwork, I start to make small talk. I asked him what kind of music he produced. He starts off with, "Liz Phair, Dave Matthews Band," and I interrupt with, "Oh, Liz Phair, I saw her on tour with Jason Mraz." Yeah, make fun of me. I do like some Dave Matthews, but I've been a Jason fan forever, so that's what I focused on. And he says matter-of-factly, "Oh, well, I did his last record too." What? But to top it all off, I had been bummed because Jason was playing a couple shows in LA that sold out before I could buy tickets. The first one was that night, literally about 2 hours later. I somehow remained calm and said, "Oh, isn't he playing a show at the Wiltern tonight?" He says, "Yeah, do you want to go? I actually haven't seen him live in a long time. It'd be good to see him." And calls up Jason's cell from my office, right there at my desk. He tells Jason to give our names to security. We finish up at the office and the producer says he'll meet me at the show. When I get to the Wiltern, I'm taken to a side door, where I'm given a VIP lanyard pass. I meet the producer there too, and he fucking takes me up to Jason's dressing room, where we hang out with Jason and the rest of the band till they go on stage. At that point, we all walked down together, and the producer was just gonna go chill somewhere backstage, but knew I wanted to see the show, so he told me I could just stand on the side of the stage to watch. So when the band would come off while Jason did his acoustic stuff, they would just stand with me and chit-chat. It was bizarre. When the show was over, Jason played a couple encores, then security came to escort him through the backstage. They walked right by me on the side of the stage, and in the mad rush I didn't have a chance to say goodbye. But when they got to the exit, Jason stopped, left his security there, and walked back only to tell me goodbye, give me a hug, and tell me to come back anytime. Definitely one of the coolest, most random nights of my life, and taught me a valuable lesson about staying positive and maintaining an interest in people even when I'd rather be doing something else. I live right beside the railroad tracks. One hot summer day I got bored and wondered where they went. So I climbed up this steep grade and started walking along the tracks, just relaxing and letting my mind wander. Of course I was watching for trains. About 20 minutes later I hear something. I walk over to the edge of the tracks and see about a 50-foot nearly vertical drop-off. At the bottom is the most beautiful creek. It was like something out of a movie, it was so picture perfect. So I slid down the hill, took off my shoes and started walking in the water. Well, the creek ran under the tracks, so when they built the railroad they put in a tunnel. I look through the long tunnel and on the other side is a pond. So I swim through the tunnel, and on the other side I find myself swimming in this deep pond. But I noticed something. This pond wasn't natural. Someone had built a dam in the creek to slow the flow of water and make this paradise. The shovel was still there from where they made it. They had even built a bench and a rope swing over the pond. It was the most amazing experience. I couldn't help but wonder about what had brought these people to build this place. I kept going back to this place throughout the summer, and eventually followed the creek to a housing development where I stopped and turned back. I only shared this pond with a few people over the years. I consider it my little paradise, and I go there whenever I feel the world getting to me. It reminds me there is a simpler part to life and quite a bit of mystery in it too. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.